Do you want to go to Mitch Marner?
Sure.
Jess, any thoughts? Did you want to add to that?
Yeah, no. What's the...
So 6:43 to 7:43, just a full minute here on Mitch's time in Toronto and how he hasn't really processed where he might want to go and what he might want to do.
Do you want to Maple Leaf next season, Mitch?
I've always loved my time here. I've loved being here. Like I said to you guys the other night, I've been so grateful, and I haven't processed anything yet. It's still so fresh, and losing sucks.
How much of an impact do you think the pressure and the media scrutiny, how much do you think the pressure from the scrutiny you guys get in this market kind of impacts your ability to win, do you think, if at all, in this market, like the scrutiny you're under?
There's pressure everywhere. There's pressure anywhere. Doesn't matter where you are. There's always pressure, and we put the most pressure on ourselves. I mean, we hold ourselves to such a high accountability. You want to win every single year, and it'd be lovely if you could. It's hard to do. I mean, like I said, we hold ourselves to such high accountability that the pressures from the outside, I don't think really bothers you too much. It's the more you put on yourself.
Mitch, you control your own future. What will go into decision for you? What's important for you wherever you land next season in terms of family, money, team?
I mean, like I just said, it's so fresh that, it's tough to really think about anything right now about going forward and future-wise. It's, I was hoping to be playing a hockey game tonight, and that's not the outcome, and I haven't thought about anything, next coming weeks I'll sit down with my wife and we'll start talking and trying to figure out what the next steps are.
We can probably pause it there. So that's where I don't believe him. I don't believe that that the pressure only comes from within the room, that he's unaffected by it, because I've seen it with my eyes. And he can lie to, he doesn't have to tell us that. That's not good if he tells us that, in fact. But I know that that's not true. And you know that that's not true. That's objectively...
he's in a self-inflicted war with the camera every time he steps in front of it. And that's just the way someone's programmed.
Yeah. Well, I don't...
You can't...
Jonas Siegel wrote... Jesse, I don't know if you saw this. Steve, I don't know if you saw this. He wrote an article about how it's better if both sides part.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
And I agree with that.
Yeah.
I know everybody online's like, well, you're going to miss generational. Sometimes that's... Like, Mitch is a great player. The mix doesn't work. You've already signed...
What am I going to miss? What am I going to miss?
So...
Mitch does this, Mitch does that. What have they accomplished as a group?
Definitely, yeah.
Holy shit.
Yep.
It's insane you have to justify this to people. Oh, my God.
What would you be without him? I don't know, man.
I don't know.
But I'm about to find out.
Maybe worse, maybe better. Anything's better than this shit.
Yeah. So...
Oh, my God.
So what I think here, and there is a little bit more about him leaving, and we'll get to it. What I think here is interesting is... Jonas Siegel very lightly references what we got into serious detail about, which is that 2019 negotiation. Before that, in front of the cameras, Mitch, people forget this. Bubbly and fun.
Care Bear.
Total Care Bear, beloved by the market. But, where I wish Jonas had gone a little harder, and maybe there's a reason he didn't, Mitch's team bungled that negotiation from a PR perspective. They won it. They won that negotiation, hands down. They got everything they wanted.
At what cost?
Well, and this is the point. Because I don't think Toronto received that well. And I think that because of the lack of success because Toronto at the time was like, I'm glad you're signed, but now I'm going to expect you to perform. Mm-hmm. And the performance, I think, that he had a great, 2019 playoffs where he had 9 points in 7 games. And then, but then after that, it sort of disappeared. And there were key moments where, and I'm not talking like people talk about, 2023 had a lot of points. Most of those points happened the first 3 games against Tampa. You got to look at the point spread.
I can't do this every year.
And I know,
can't explain
but we have to repeat it every time because there's a lot of new people coming in who haven't heard the show before.
I know.
And I caution I caution you on this in the sense that I feel like there's yes, you're losing a great player, but if you continue to do this and expose this player to this sort of, because there is animosity, right? He was booed every time he touched the puck in Game 7
and the seed
in the
for
third period.
Those boos were planted 5 years ago, 6 years ago.
And that comes from, I'm sorry to say it, that's his team.
Yes.
That might not be him, but that's his team.
And none of them have taken a lick of accountability for it.
And there is a statement from Darren Ferris in that article from Jonas Siegel talking about, well, these are very personal decisions and they're very private. They sure weren't private last time.
Nope.
And so I do want to put that out there. Every time it's like, oh, it's the media and it's the fans' fault, which I'm still pissed about.
I hope
you look at this and you go, actually, no, we didn't do any of this. We had no control on this.
I hope the team he signs with, the next best superstar on that team, their agent comes out and goes, what a stupid fucking contract.
That happened.
That's exactly what he did to Austin. That's what him and the people he pays lots of money did to Austin. Austin signed his deal February 2019, and Marner's agent did this whole press tour going, what a stupid fucking contract.
Mm-hmm. It's also worth mentioning that this is the same agent that turned down reported 8x8 for Taylor Hall and went, we're going to free agency. And when the musical chairs stopped, now, Marner's not going to be in this situation, but when the musical chairs stopped, what happened? Taylor Hall ended up with a 1-year contract worth $8 million where he scored like 3 goals with the Sabres, and then they traded him. And how many teams has he been on since? And then finally now, he signed a long-ish 3-year deal with the Carolina Hurricanes to actually stay somewhere.
What, 3.5?
Yeah. This is the same agent. Yep. And I think that's worth mentioning. This guy loves to drive for free agency. It's pretty clear. People are like, well, the Leafs were willing to offer him 8 years, $13.5 million. I believe that report. I believe that that's true. I don't think this guy cares about an 8-year deal. I think he cares about a 3 to a 5-year deal.
I don't know.
So I don't think if you think the Leafs are going to trade his rights to somebody for that 8th year, it's not going to happen.
No.
But I do feel like, hey, that war that you're talking about with the camera, that starts from that camp. And I'd love to see a little more ownership from that. We'll never see it. But that starts from them.
The amount of times these guys who know where every comma and period in my videos are, the amount of times I've screamed into the camera, can you not fucking get in the ear of your guy?
Stop sending him articles.
And it's almost every time I've been talking directly to people in his camp. And they're too dumb. They're too dumb. They won't stop.
I think Mitch Marner, like, he's made up his mind that this situation isn't good for him.
I think he's right.
He's 1,000,000% correct.
I think he's resigned to the fact that he won't be a Toronto Maple Leaf next year. He can't say it publicly, but like the question off the top of the audio you played there, like the question is, are you going to be a Leaf next year? And he says, I got to think about that. And you hear somebody who is actually wanting to be a Leaf next year, and John Tavares, and they ask him, hey, you going to be a Leaf next year? And he says, yes. And I think the life here in Toronto has been very difficult on Mitch Marner, and there's a lot of boneheaded fans who have not made it easy for him living here. And I think both sides know that it's not a comfy situation for the organization or him as a person personally. And I think he knows that he gets to move on here because they have given him that decision by walking him to free agency.
It's not a fine line between legitimate criticism and harassment and destruction of property. It's actually quite a thick one.
Yeah.
I can't believe you have to say that. But yeah, some people were way too much.
Yeah.
And by the way,
I think we should all accept the fact that the Leafs can look at this team and say, you know what, we're losing a really good player, but whatever we did the last 9 years with him wasn't enough. So even if we're worse on paper or better on paper with whoever we get, at least it's something different. So I think as fans, we should accept it.
I agree, Jess. I totally agree. The one thing I want to say is that I know when other fan groups are, they're trolling. They're like, hey, yeah, all Leaf fans are like this. Look what happened to Martin.
I don't care.
That's obviously what I don't like is when people at legitimate sports outlets who are journalists make that same argument.
Oh, they threw beer on the ice. Did all 20,000 people gather together and shot put the same beer?
Or was that one person?
Onto the fuck off.
I don't like that. And now
these people vote.
More about leaving. 8:45 to 9:10. So just a quick sort of 25-second clip here, or 35-second clip. My math sucks. And then we'll move on to a different player.
Yeah, I mean, I know I keep saying the same things, but it's tough to process at this moment. Like I keep saying, it's so fresh. It's 24 hours of our season ending. I haven't thought about anything. I haven't sat down with my wife. I haven't talked to her about future, next steps. And like I said, that will be in the next couple of weeks. We'll do that and we'll start figuring stuff out. And but I've been, like I said, forever grateful, and especially with this group.
All right, let's pause there. So I want you to imagine for a second. that you're married, you just had a kid, or you had a kid on the way the entire season, and you could make close to $100 million in free agency this year if you wanted to go max term or more.
Oh,
But whatever. You want to tell me that you've not sat down once with your wife to talk about that? Yeah, come on. I know that you're not telling the truth, and that's okay, but I know.
Yeah.
Yes, you've talked about it, and that's okay.
That's a good way of putting it. It's, hey, you're lying. It's all right you're lying.
Yeah, I don't blame you for lying.
I don't blame you for lying. Yeah.
But the idea that he hasn't processed it yet, I can imagine he hasn't processed the game, guys. I can't imagine that he and his wife haven't talked about this at least once a week for a year and a half. Because I can tell you that's what we would that's what most people would do. Hey, what do we want to do with our future? What country do we want to live in?
A lifetime of hard work has led him to, I don't know, kind of a pretty enviable position. Like, I hammer this point all the time, but there is your having a child life, and there is your after having a child life, and you're very fresh, and you have the opportunity to start over somewhere new and make like 8 or 9 digits when you do it. God, what a blessed life! Like, that's, I don't know, you gotta be happy for him or jealous. I don't know, pick a lane, I guess. But that's a lifetime of hard work that's led him to this. Would it maybe have been a happier Cinderella ending if it ended up being here where he stayed? Yeah, maybe.
If the situation was different.
I think he'll be just fine wherever he lands.
Jesse, did you get a feeling sense for him? Just, obviously the questions were, there's the pressure and then this and then that. Was he any different than he ever is in that press conference?
I don't know about different. There's always like a happy-go-lucky Mitch Marner, and then there's this kind of Mitch Marner where he's fighting the media. Well, fighting's not the right word.
It's business.
It's where he's not going to give anybody much.
No,
I feel like what you're hearing right there is how he feels about the media and the relationship right now with everything that's going on.
Yeah,
like I don't like he's
gone.
He's not happy about how things have ended. He can't be happy about the things going on in his personal life, dealing with the fans and all that stuff. So I don't know. I think he understands that it's coming to an end, and it sucks. Like he grew up a Leafs fan. He's from here, played in London, which is just down the road.
Full of Leaf fans down there too.
Gets drafted in the top 5 by his childhood team. He had a chance to be the all-time points leader for this franchise if things had just worked out and he stuck around. He could have had a statue right over there, his Legends Row with all of those statues. He could have been one of those. And I feel like that context should also go into why he had, Matt, if you want to pull up his picture, like the sour face that he has right now on the screen.
That's been every conference this season.
That's how he looks because of everything that's going on with this team and everything that's gone into his life to reach this point. He's obviously very blessed.
Yes.
Playing a hockey game that's a kid's game and you get to pay $100 million to do it is awesome. But the context of him as a hockey player and his legacy as a Leaf isn't a fun one.
No.
Because this is how it's going to end. And he wanted his jersey in the rafters so badly, and he's not going to get that.
There's a player I often think about where I'm just like, man, never meet your heroes. And that's Matt Duchene. Like, huge Colorado Avalanche fan. If you go back and look at footage of the 2009 draft, Victor Hedman goes second, and Duchene goes. He does this. He does the fist pump because he knows. Oh shit! I'm going third to Colorado. The Halliburton, Ontario boy grew up a huge Avalanche fan, and how does it end?
Yeah,
that sad picture.
That photo with his stick on his back. Get me the fuck out of here! I hate this place. Joe Sakic traded him. A dude you had him on your wall as a kid. You emulated him in the driveway. Joe Sakic, score! That guy traded you. And you asked him to do it. Then he had a couple years in the desert. He was with the Sens. And did that situation suck.
The Uber driver thing was not a good start.
The Uber driver thing. The Blue Jackets. Jeez, has he found himself in an unreal position. He resurrected his career kind of in Nashville, and now he's in the Final Four with Dallas.
And they still bought him out.
Yeah.
In retrospect, they should have friggin' kept him.
Well,
they don't have any centers.
he hasn't had the greatest playoff, but like you can come back from this sort of situation is all I'm saying.